Welcome to the Dark History Case. Today, we uncover one of the most terrifying mysteries in American history, a story that has haunted investigators, inspired countless theories, and remained unsolved for over half a century. It is a story of a man who turned murder into a game of riddles, a man who wanted not only to kill, but to be remembered. This is the story of the Zodiac Killer, the man who laughed at the law. It all began on a cold night in December 1968, just outside the quiet town of Vallejo, California. Two teenagers, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, were on their first date. They parked their car along a lonely stretch of Lake Herman Road. What should have been a simple night ended in horror. Sometime around 11 p.m., another car pulled up behind them. The driver stepped out and opened fire. 10 bullets were fired, ending 2 young lives in an instant. At the time, the murders seemed random. Investigators suspected jealousy, gang involvement, or robbery, but there were no fingerprints, no witnesses, and no clear motive. The case soon went cold, but 7 months later, the killer returned, and this time he wanted the world to know who he was. In July 1969, at Blue Rock Springs Park, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau sat in their car, unaware of what was about to happen. A man approached, shining a flashlight through the window before pulling the trigger. Darlene died instantly. Michael survived but was badly injured. Within an hour, a phone call was made to the Vallejo Police Department. A calm male voice confessed to both murders, providing details only the killer could know. And then the letters began. 3 California newspapers received nearly identical letters. Each was written in a strange, uneven handwriting and signed with an unusual symbol, a circle with a cross through it. The writer claimed responsibility for the murders and included a coded message of 408 characters. He demanded that the newspapers publish his ciphers on their front pages. If they refused, he warned, he would kill again. For the first time, the world heard his name. He signed his letters simply as the Zodiac. The letters captivated the public. Everyone wanted to know who he was. Reporters called him a monster, police called him a madman, and psychologists called him a narcissist seeking recognition. Within days, a high school teacher and his wife solved the cipher. What it revealed sent chills through the country. The message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all." It wasn't just murder anymore, it was a declaration of superiority, the words of someone who saw life as a puzzle and death as a game. Over the following months, more letters arrived, each one more taunting, more arrogant, more disturbing. The Zodiac didn't hide, he mocked the police. He criticized the newspapers for spelling his name wrong. He even wrote to television stations demanding to appear live. In one letter, he said, "I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." While the world tried to decode his madness, the killings continued. In September 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing at Lake Berryessa when a man approached wearing a black hood and a white crosshair emblem on his chest. He tied them up, spoke calmly, and then stabbed them multiple times. Before leaving, he drew the Zodiac symbol on Brian's car door and wrote the date and time of the attack. Cecilia died 2 days later. Brian survived, becoming one of the few witnesses to look into the eyes of the Zodiac Killer. 2 weeks later, a cab driver named Paul Stein picked up a fare in San Francisco. The passenger asked to be taken to Presidio Heights. When the cab stopped, the passenger shot Stein in the head. This time, the Zodiac made no effort to hide his crime. He wiped the blood, tore off a piece of Stein's shirt, and later mailed it to the San Francisco Chronicle as proof. The message attached to it confirmed everyone's worst fear. "I am the murderer of the taxi driver," it said. "I am the same man who killed the people in Vallejo, Lake Herman, and Lake Berryessa." The city was in chaos, the police were humiliated. The killer had murdered in broad daylight, left physical evidence, and still managed to disappear. Even more terrifying was what followed. The Zodiac wrote again, claiming he would shoot school buses full of children. He described how he would target tires so the bus would stop, then kill the children as they ran. Panic spread like wildfire. Parents pulled their kids out of school. Police cars followed buses along their routes. The threat never materialized, but the fear never faded. The Zodiac's letters became more elaborate, often containing symbols, riddles, and strange references to ancient alphabets, movies, and even the Bible. Some letters included
drawings of bombs and diagrams of planned attacks. Investigators couldn't tell which threats were real and which were part of his psychological warfare. In November 1969, he sent what became known as the 340 cipher, a complex arrangement of symbols that baffled experts for decades. Even the FBI and CIA failed to crack it. It wasn't until 2020 that a team of private codebreakers finally solved it. The message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. I'm not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." The Zodiac never stopped mocking. Even decades after his last confirmed murder, his words continued to haunt the world. As the years passed, the killings stopped, but the investigation only grew. Police departments from multiple counties collaborated, sharing evidence, letters, and witness reports. Hundreds of suspects were questioned, but one name stood out above all: Arthur Lee Allen. Allen was a Navy veteran and a schoolteacher from Vallejo. He owned a Zodiac brand wristwatch with the same crosshair logo. He lived near the crime scenes, was known for violent outbursts, and even told people he liked the idea of hunting humans. Search warrants revealed weapons, tapes about murder, and cryptic notes, but the evidence was circumstantial. Handwriting experts disagreed. Fingerprints didn't match. DNA was inconclusive. Despite years of suspicion, Arthur Lee Allen was never charged. He died in 1992, taking the truth with him. Other suspects emerged: Ross Sullivan, a reclusive librarian who resembled police sketches; Lawrence Kane, a salesman who suffered brain damage and was seen near multiple crime scenes; and even journalists who some claimed used their knowledge of the crimes to write the letters themselves, but nothing ever stuck. Every lead eventually dissolved into speculation. The Zodiac seemed to vanish into the fog of time, but his legend only grew. Filmmakers, writers, and conspiracy theorists kept the mystery alive. Some said he was a police officer, others claimed he was a group of men, and a few believed he was still alive, watching as his story played out on screens and headlines. In 1974, a final letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle. It referenced a film called The Exorcist and called it the best satirical comedy I have ever seen. After that, the letter stopped. The killer disappeared as mysteriously as he appeared, but the mystery didn't end. In the years that followed, advancements in DNA testing reignited hope. Investigators compared saliva from old envelopes and stamps to new suspects, but contamination and age made the evidence unreliable. In 2021, a group of independent investigators claimed to have identified the Zodiac as Gary Francis Post, a man who had died in 2018. They cited scars on his forehead matching police sketches and a hidden pattern in his letters. But law enforcement has never confirmed it. And so the mystery remains. The Zodiac Killer was more than just a murderer. He was a symbol of fear, a manipulator who turned an entire nation into his audience. His brilliance lay not only in his crimes, but in his ability to make people question the world around them. He proved that terror doesn't need to be constant. It only needs to be unforgettable. For over 50 years, detectives, journalists, and citizens have tried to unmask him. But perhaps that's what he wanted all along. Because as long as we keep searching for the Zodiac, he continues to exist. He turned murder into mythology. He blurred the line between reality and nightmare. He laughed in the face of justice and vanished into history as the ghost who was never caught. The Zodiac Killer may be gone, but his shadow still lingers over every unsolved case, every cryptic letter, every story that refuses to die. He wanted to be remembered forever. And in that twisted way, he won. This is the Dark History Case, and this was the story of the Zodiac Killer, the man who laughed at the law,